Good morning, Husker fans, and welcome back to the Husker Big Red YouTube channel. I'm Chris Peterson, and joining me as always is Danny Gillette. We're back here on this Thursday, and we're going to take a look back at the first four games of the Nebraska football season, look at the big picture takeaways, look back at the things that we've learned so far about this Huskers team. We're also going to dive into some of the latest recruiting buzz, and we're going to rehash our record predictions from the start of the season, see if they're the same, if we're going to mix it up a little after what we've seen so far. So before we get into it, make sure that you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, get into the comment section. And Danny, how are you on this Thursday morning?
I'm doing well. It's a little rainy here, but I'm doing well. I'm excited for this weekend of college football. Penn State and Oregon is going to be a great one this weekend, so I'll be tuning in for that. And I'm doing well. I'm doing well. The sky is not falling in my neck of the woods as it is for some people on social media, so I'm doing okay.
Yeah, I definitely don't think the sky is falling for Nebraska fans. It shouldn't, if that's your perspective. But it is going to be a fun weekend of college football in terms of having a bye week. I think Nebraska picked a pretty good time because
Yeah.
you have, like you mentioned, Penn State, Oregon. There's also Georgia, Alabama,
Yep.
USC, Illinois, LSU, Ole Miss. I think there's another game that I'm. I guess that's it. But still, a lot
Yeah.
of interesting top 25 matchups coming into this weekend. So it'll be a easier, I guess, to pass the time without Nebraska. But let's just get right into it, man, because we had a lot of different takeaways from this Michigan game. And I wanted to look at not just this Michigan game, but the first month, I guess, of the season: Cincinnati, Houston Christian, Akron, of course, the Michigan game, which I don't think I don't think the sky's falling because of one loss. Like, sure, it would have been disappointing, or it was disappointing. It would have been great if they won that game, but it is just one of 12. And I think there were a lot of positive things to come out of that, mainly the play of Dylan Raiola, which has been kind of a hot topic of conversation recently, which I do not understand at all. I don't understand the Nebraska folks that were, calling for TJ Lateef on Saturday. You do realize if TJ
So you
Lateef
saw those guys too. I thought I was
yeah.
maybe imagining things.
No, I keep saying, I've seen plenty of people, and we just need, Dylan Raiola is okay, but if we had a more mobile quarterback, we could have done better against Michigan. And so I don't understand where people are coming from on that. I mean, Raiola was pressured 33 times. I mean, he had pressure in his face literally all day. He was sacked 7 times. How many times, do you see a quarterback just get battered like that? Like all day, almost every single time he threw the ball, he had pressure in his face and still put up 300 yards and should have been 30 points. I mean, if the kicker doesn't miss a chip shot field goal, Nebraska has 30 points on a defense that's filled with future NFL players. I mean, I thought it was pretty exceptional day from Dylan Raiola. I don't know what else he really could have done.
Do you people remember the quarterback play pre-Dylan Raiola? Hello. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? I don't get it. I really don't get it. And I got news for, those people. Putting a freshman behind center would not have helped on Saturday. TJ Lateef is good, but anybody would have gotten destroyed behind that offensive line on Saturday.
And the other thing that people are not realizing is that this Michigan defense is a really complex defense. Wink Martindale throws a lot of different looks at you. So not only was Dylan Raiola having to deal with a difficult pass rush, he was also having to deal with an NFL-style defense, and he navigated it really well. He had one interception, which was, the guy should have caught the ball. If the receiver catches the ball, it's probably not an interception.
Also, that was a good play by that defender to come over the top and kind of hide until the pass got there. So credit to Michigan there for sure.
And it was literally his first interception of the season. He still threw 3 touchdowns. Like they didn't lose the game because of that interception.
How many touchdowns does he have this season?
11.
All right. So there we go, people.
Yeah.
11-1. I'll take that all day, every day. Enough.
And it's not about even TJ Lateef, as who I think is going to be a really good quarterback, but the idea that he could have won in that game and it would have been deer in the headlights, man. He would have just gotten killed. He probably would have been like, you can't just scramble around and abandon the pocket. I don't know why people think that that's some type of philosophy that's gonna running around like with your head cut off isn't an offensive philosophy. And so that was crazy. But what's even crazier, like frankly, I found the Lateef stuff to be kind of crazy, but fans are crazy. So that doesn't surprise me that much. I've said crazy stuff on game days. We all know that. But the thing that does surprise me is people like Tom Fornelli coming after Dylan Raiola. And it's like, dude, you just know nothing about football. And that's what's crazy to me is you get these people on CBS and these national reporters that just know nothing. And he clearly has some axe to grind against Dylan Raiola because he was trying to say that Bryce Underwood was making more reads at the line of scrimmage than Dylan Raiola. It's like, no, he was not. Michigan kept it very simple for Bryce Underwood. He was making one or two very easy reads. He threw for 105 yards, and sure, his receivers could have made more catches, yada yada. But Michigan did not put much on his plate, and Nebraska literally put everything on the plate of Dylan Raiola.
And Bryce played well. I'm not trying to take away from Bryce either, right? Bryce played well. He played really well.
Yeah, and it's not about it, but it's just the idea that Tom Fornelli saying that Dylan's not doing things at the line of scrimmage, that, this Mahomes comparison, like, it's just ridiculous. Like, it's Dylan Raiola is flat out one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and if you can't see that, I don't know what to tell you.
Also, I always laugh. Spend less time trying to be like Patrick Mahomes. Spend less time trying to be a Super Bowl winning quarterback who's been one of the best quarterbacks in football. I mean, the whole Mahomes thing is absolutely ridiculous. Raiola's not getting into trouble. He's not, making bad decisions off the field. He's just trying to play football, and everybody's coming after him. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And, guys like Fornelli make me wonder why we don't have a job at CBS, quite frankly, Chris, because I don't know what we're doing here. I don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, if I could come up with some really dumb takes and put them on CBS, if that's what you want.
Yeah,
it's not hard.
Do it easily, especially on game day.
Yeah, exactly. I've said some real dumb stuff. If you want to give me a job,
like, what are we doing here, people? Like, this is crazy to me.
It is crazy to me because it's like that dude was the only reason Nebraska was in the game. I mean, honestly, I don't understand. Like, there's one play where a Michigan defensive back literally comes on a free blitz. Nobody blocked him, and he's a free rusher, and Dylan just sidesteps him and completes it for it's like, dude, that's NFL style stuff right there. I think I wrote this on X, but I'm like, if my quarterback's throwing for 308 yards and 3 touchdowns against Michigan, then I don't care if he acts like Pat, because that is Patrick Mahomes type of stuff. That's what Patrick Mahomes did in college. Like, that's not easy to do. You know how many quarterbacks have thrown for 300 yards against Michigan? I mean, I don't know off the top of my head, but I mean, I can think of like CJ Stroud as one. There has not been very many. So, I mean, let's give Dylan Raiola credit, and he's taken a huge leap this year. So, like, in terms of big picture takeaways, the reason I still feel really good about this team is, number 15. Like, that guy's a dude, and when you have a dude at quarterback, you can win a lot of games.
That was one of our big questions coming into the year, right? Would he take that leap? And he definitely has. And I give a lot of credit to Dana Holgorsen for kind of making the offensive system a little bit better for him. And I also give a lot of credit to Glenn Thomas. I think Glenn Thomas has done a really fantastic job.
Dana, hope we don't lose him to Oklahoma State Holgorsen.
No, I mean, those lists are a bunch of baloney anyway. I mean, I saw, the Miami, offensive coordinator there and stuff like that. So those lists are kind of, just kind of putting together all the hot names of the moment and hoping one sticks. Again, another reason why I should go right for CBS Sports.
Yeah, I know. I saw that Dana does have like a connection to one of the boosters there. But I don't, and it seems like, I don't know, maybe he would take it, but I don't think it's going to impact this season. I don't know. It's just interesting. Guys getting fired real early in this 2025 campaign. Luke Fickell, here's keeping an eye on you, buddy. I mean,
Deshaun Foster.
Deshaun Foster, and
I don't agree with, but
Billy Napier's got to be feeling the heat right now. So
I mean, he's got to be, but I guess not. I mean, DJ Lagway is terrible, and so that doesn't help matters. But I mean, he's got to be. Then again, Florida has had one of the toughest schedules over the past 2 seasons, so I think that's buying him some time, but I don't know.
It's interesting though, with when you had mentioned DJ Lagway and Arch Manning and all these guys were ranked so high, and they were expected to contend for the Heisman and yada yada yada, and now it's like, okay, well, Dylan Raiola's outplayed all those guys, so where's his credit? Like, where's his due? And I get that they played 2 teams that weren't great, but they played a Big Ten opponent and another Power 4 opponent, and he's got 11 touchdowns. He's completing 76% of his passes, 1 interception. I mean, he's doing it all. So, if I was a Nebraska fan, I am a Nebraska fan, so I shouldn't say it like that, but he's the reason that I have hope that this team's going to still win a lot of games, and why I'm not freaking out over this one loss. And really, my win-loss predictions, my expectations haven't really changed.
No.
I did think that was an important game for Nebraska to win. I mean, obviously, I think they have less, margin for error. Like, you have to beat USC now, and you can't. Like just if you're going to make the playoff, that's where I'm framing this conversation. You have to beat USC, and you can't afford, assuming you lose to Penn State, you can't afford any other losses. You can't lose to like a Michigan State or like a Maryland, or you know what I mean? Like you're going to have to beat Iowa. There's just Nebraska lost the margin for error, I would say, because I think if this team is going to make the playoff, which I know this is a premature conversation, they probably have to win 10 games, I would think, just because what would their marquee wins be? I mean, assuming that they lost to Penn State to beat USC and Iowa, I think they'd have to get 10 wins to make the playoff.
I agree. And this doesn't really adjust my win-loss predictions either. I had them at 9-3. So, I mean, they could still lose 2 more games under my prediction. So this is going to be an interesting second half. And I think, like you mentioned earlier when we started, this bye week came at a very good time because it gives them time to make adjustments. Because here's the thing I was thinking about the other day. You have a young defensive line, and you have a new defensive line coach. And Michigan was the first real, tough, Big Ten opponent where the speed of the game is obviously a little bit greater than Houston Christian or Akron. So I think, that was kind of a wake-up call for, the defensive line and the defense. And now that will give time for them to adjust to Big Ten play accordingly. Because I can't imagine as a player going from the speed of the game, playing Houston Christian the week before to Michigan. I mean, the leap there is quite the jump.
And it was a really bad matchup for Nebraska. Like there's very few teams, and I think this is one thing that should be we should take note of, is that there's very few teams that are going to be like Michigan, at least in terms of that are going to line up and want to run for 300 yards and are going to sit there and just pound the rock at you. And not many teams have that mindset. I don't know that Penn State does. They don't. I mean, they can run the ball at you. I'm not saying that they won't, but they're not going to have the same kind of sledgehammer approach that Michigan will. And I don't know that there's anybody on the schedule that does, maybe outside of Iowa. So I don't think it's going to be, I am worried about the run defense, obviously, but
yeah.
I mean, you look at the next 2 opponents. I mean, Michigan State runs it okay. They run 150 yards a game. 4.3 is their average. Maryland doesn't run it well at all. They've got the fancy freshman quarterback, but so they don't run it that well. USC's runs it pretty decently, but I feel like the run defense will get better. I feel like the linebackers will get better. I just think it's going to be an issue that they're going to have to manage for part of the season. But I feel like maybe that's a little bit easier to manage than say a really leaky pass defense like we had during the Frost era, where we had to play guys 10 yards off. So
we we just couldn't run a defensive scheme to save our life.
Yeah, and the thing about too is Nebraska's they're kind of relying on some disguise and misdirection. And so when you play a team like Michigan like that, at some point they're gonna. You saw a lot of times where Nebraska kind of stopped them, and that's because it is sometimes really hard in the 3-3-5 to identify, who your blocks are. We talk about run fits. Well, offensive line, it's kind of the same thing. You have to, fit in where your blocks are supposed to go. And sometimes if your guys are moving around, it's hard to know who to block. But when you get caught in the stunt or you get caught in something where they catch you, that is really easy to crease you like they did a couple of times. So I feel like not very many teams are going to be able to take advantage of those weaknesses of Nebraska's like Michigan was. So I feel like even though the run defense is an issue, I don't think it will be as easily exploited by opponents as it was by Michigan.
And the interesting thing here is that they also have film on USC from last year. So that's also something to take into account. But yeah, I don't think it will be easily exploited. I mean, Michigan, their identity is to run the football, and they do it well. I mean, there's a reason why, they're known as a proficient running team. So I'm not giving up on the defensive line yet. Not saying that you are. I'm just saying in general, a lot of people are giving up on the defensive line already. And I think this is where the young pieces grow in real time. And Terry Braden kind of settles in over these next couple weeks. At least that's my hope.
Yeah, that's my hope too. And they just need to, come out, and that Michigan State game is going to be an important one. Yeah. But physically, Michigan State is not a great team in the trenches. So I think this is a much better matchup for Nebraska. They do have the Chili's, who's kind of a mobile quarterback, but yeah, we'll get to that one more. Other big
Yeah.
picture takeaways. I mean, I did think it was interesting, to hear Matt Rhule's comments on the running back situation this week.
Yeah.
And I know he was referencing, Jamar Brown, and that's it. Kind of, not that it's really a mistake, but it just kind of highlights, the need to have a guy like Pat Stewart to say, hey, like where do we need to invest our money? Where's the wisest, the most wise way to spend our money? And one thing, I mean, you had the spring and the winter windows, right? Maybe Nebraska should have been more aggressive about trying to find a running back in that winter transfer portal window, which there will only be one moving forward, I think, which will be a good thing. But
Yeah.
I just thought that was, kind of interesting. I think Mekhi Nelson has the best chance to be the number 2 running back. I thought he made some nice runs. I think he has the most explosiveness, maybe Mosey too. But yeah, we have to hope that Emmett Johnson can make it through, the season healthy, I think.
Mosey to me kind of looks a little bit confused when he runs. Like he's very timid, which, I mean, he's a true freshman, and he was playing college football, and it's his first go at running back at the collegiate level. So I'm not trying to bash him too much, but I don't know if I'd put Mosey in the conversation quite yet.
I think thinking about that too, I do believe it that they had plans for Jamarian Parker, and I think his injury, has kind of affected things a little bit, just in the sense that maybe not counting on him to play, but as a guy like, hey, maybe he could push, and then either he pushes the other guys to get better, or he takes the job. I mean, a backup job, not the starting job. But so that's been a bit of a bummer.
Do you think we see more Connor Booth at all?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's going to be. I think Nelson's going to be the guy that emerges as the number 2. I just think he's the second best runner.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I can't say that I really watched the blitz pick up closely enough against Michigan to really state an opinion on that as far as Nelson goes. But I think maybe as long as he can do okay there, I think he's got a chance to establish that number 2 role. But Ives is number 2. Also, he just he needs to be a little more explosive. But
yeah,
it would be nice to have Jamar Brown on this team. There's no question about that. I mean, but it does come down to money, and that's why having a guy like Pat Stewart, I think, is really going to help Nebraska, moving forward, and hopefully they won't have some of these moves where you get an Elijah Pritchett who really hasn't made a huge impact, and maybe that money could have been spent on a Jamar Brown who, to be fair, wasn't even in the portal at the time. So it's kind of hindsight is 2020.
Yeah. And also, he's on the number 2 team in the country right now in Miami, Florida. Yeah. I mean, who would say no to that right now?
Yeah, plus the big NIL deal. So yeah, the Hurricanes are rolling. I mean, it's I'm not going to say it's fun to have Miami back in it, but it reminds me more of the it is kind of fun to see the good programs. Miami, Florida State. Even though I hate them both, it's
I've been Penn State.
Yeah, it's more fun when those teams are good, I would say. And Nebraska put Nebraska in that mix. There's no question. College football is better when Nebraska's a really good team.
For sure.
My other takeaway, not my only other one, but one of them is Mike Eckler was the real deal on special teams. We've got, punt return. We were actually returning punts this year. Of course, we had to miss a field goal against Michigan, but outside of that, there hasn't been any gaffes or mistakes or really anything to complain about special teams wise.
Punting has been impressive too, right? When we've needed Archie. There was a stretch there when we didn't need Archie, but punting has been really impressive. I was just curious to see the rugby style kick, and I love it. Shout out to Archie for moving halfway across the world and go kick ass at some punting. So I've been really impressed with him, and he's an easy guy to root for.
Yeah, and I've been impressed with the wide receivers. I think those guys have really lived up to the hype and even exceeded it. I think in some instances, like Ja'Cory Barney has really. You talk about players who've taken a big leap from year one. I think like Raiola and maybe even like Dane Key being on the team has overshadowed that. But Ja'Cory Barney's a dude. He got 2 touchdowns on Saturday. I don't know how in the world he caught that Hail Mary.
I don't know either.
One of the short guys on the field, and he's got that's where they say you can't measure heart. Like Ja'Cory Barney may only be 6 foot. Whatever, 190 pounds, but the dude's got a big heart. He was a huge win for like you talk about recruiting wins. Like that was one of the best for Matt Rhule. That guy can play big time. And Cortez Mills looking good. So even Quinn Clark I think has had a catch in almost every single game. So you talk about things to feel good about. This passing game is going to be elite, I think, over the next few years.
Matt Rhule said in the spring game, I think it was 2 years ago when he was doing an interview that he wanted Ja'Cory Barney really bad, and now we know
Yeah,
why.
yeah.
And a lot of that goes to Keel Shorts as well. I think Shorts has done a good job of getting the most out of this wide receiver unit.
He has. Let's switching to wide receiver. I think there'll be a good time to switch to our recruiting. We wanted to touch on some recruiting buzz. So there's a few of our big picture takeaways from the first half of the season. But recruiting at wide receiver, you mentioned Keel Shorts. So we did have a decommitment this week with
Yeah.
Davion Bonwell-Whitty. He was committed for quite a long time, but he didn't take any visits. He had some injuries. He's been back on the field this fall, but finally decommitted earlier this week with a post on X. Probably a good decision. It just didn't seem like a great fit at Nebraska. Really quickly, what were your thoughts on his decommitment?
I was surprised he stayed this long. Honestly, I thought once Garrett McGuire was let go that he would commit a little bit sooner, but I mean, credit to him for staying this long and I guess kind of seeing what the program is like or what it would look like. And quite honestly, I think this wide receiver room is going to be very, very good for a very long time with some really elite athletes. And I'm not saying he isn't one, but I wouldn't say he's at the level of a Ja'Cory Barney or maybe even a Larry Mills. So best of luck to him. I hope he finds what he's looking for, and I really do credit him for sticking it out as long as he did.
Yeah, he is an interesting player, and just dealt with some injuries. So I do think he will find somewhere to play
Yeah.
college football. From the Nebraska perspective, it was interesting because basically the same day that happened, or it might have been the day before, they did offer an Iowa State commitment, a 6'4" receiver named Milan Paris. He's out of Akron, Ohio, ranked 299th overall in the On3 industry rankings, 4-star, 6'4", 205 pounds. Obviously they're offering pretty late in the cycle. He did talk with Brian Munson. He did an interview with Brian Munson, or at least they exchanged, messages or phone calls, and he didn't sound like he's willing or he's ready to take a visit yet. But it doesn't sound like he's ruled that one out either. So I would say, kind of like the Michigan guy, the Michigan commit they offered, Julian Walker. I wouldn't put too much stock into this until he comes on campus. But if they can get Paris on campus, Milan Paris on campus for a visit, then I would say a flip is a real possibility.
I mean, this is a guy that's had offers from Auburn, Illinois, committed to Iowa State, obviously in January. Also offers from Miami. So this is a big time player. He's definitely a guy to watch out for, and I would love to have him in the wide receiver room. He was a 4-star recruit, according to the composite and the 24/7 Sports overall rankings. The 8th overall player in the state of Ohio and the 21st overall wide receiver. So, I mean, he would be quite the athlete. He would be quite the get from a state in Ohio that has produced some talent over the years.
Yeah, it just would be another and another guy that's 6'4" would be nice. We have some size with Quinn Clark, but it is nice to add those big time players. Another thing, after losing to even though Nebraska lost to Michigan, it was still a positive weekend in recruiting. We covered some of that last weekend, but if you missed this on Monday, Hayes Fawcett, the Rivals recruiting reporter, kind of put up the bat signal for Nebraska. He tweeted out it was Herbie Husker with the corn husk emoji, which does he's teasing a commitment. So and basically Hayes Fawcett knows because everybody essentially has him do their commitment graphics. So
I would love that job. I would love that. That would be so much fun.
Yeah. So you talk about, crystal balls and whatever, when he puts out the bat signal, it's pretty accurate for most of the,
I trust Hayes Fawcett more than I trust Will Fong or
Yeah, because unless the kid changes his mind last minute, he's making the design, so he's not putting that out there for no reason. What's interesting though is we haven't seen a single crystal ball or expert projection or a hint about who this 2027 commitment is. So I don't know who it is. I really have no idea. But some good news is coming on the recruiting trail, and I think overall this weekend was a positive one for Nebraska.
Yeah, and I said this to you off air, and you agreed with me too. We both agree that there was some momentum from this weekend, and even though the loss was no fun, I don't think one loss is going to take away from the bigger picture because so many recruits came back and said that they loved the atmosphere, they loved the game day experience. I mean, that place was rocking, and they had to be impressed with the offense and And so, yeah, I think overall this was a really good recruiting weekend for Nebraska. And I am curious as to who the tweet was about. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend like I know and hide anything from the people watching. I don't know, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. It's definitely you'd think it was somebody who just visited. So
Yeah,
yeah, I'm interested to see if we hear more on that or when that news might come out. But I do know that Nebraska had Kennedy Brown, the #1 offensive tackle on campus, and he was very impressed with
that'd be
this
nice to
visit.
go see him, isn't it?
So yeah, I would not mind that in the
No,
2027 class at
no.
all. They also made some headway with a few cornerbacks and wide receivers. Isaiah Rogers, though, the 4-star running back from your
Yep.
neck of the woods,
Hmm.
Massachusetts, seems really impressed with Nebraska. I think they might be in the lead at this point. That's kind of
Yeah.
what Steve Wiltfong was hinting at the other day, and I'm all in for that, man. If you could
Yeah.
add him to this class, that would be a home run in my mind.
Isaiah Rogers with Trey Taylor, and for what it's worth, Trey's been talking to a lot of recruits on social media, and I thought it was interesting. He said in a tweet that he worked with Glenn Thomas. He's been sitting with Glenn Thomas, and during visits and kind of going over film with him, and his completion percentage went up. So I'm really, really hoping that they can keep Taylor in the class, not because he'll decommit and want to go somewhere else, but because other teams will be coming after him. And I'm really, really hoping he stays, and because I think he's a great ambassador for Nebraska. I think he really wants to be here. And I know we debated earlier this summer whether or not having a quarterback and getting on social media would affect recruiting, but I think his energy is infectious, and he really wants guys to be here. So I'm really, really hoping he can stick around.
Yeah, I feel really confident that they'll be able to sign Trey Taylor, and I think he is going to be a top recruiter for this 2027
Yeah,
class. So, if anybody can do it, it's definitely the quarterback, and so I think he's really kind of set the tone there.
yeah, for sure.
So, all right, one thing I wanted to do to finish up before we go is just to kind of re-look back at our record predictions before the season. I had 10-2, you had 9-3, if memory serves me correctly.
Yep,
I did
yep.
have one weird loss, though. I have to admit, I did predict Nebraska to lose at UCLA, which looks really dumb now. But in my defense, sometimes there's weird losses, and so I just thought, well, that's a weird kind of road trip. So even though they lost the game to Michigan, I'm still kind of feeling the same 10-2 record. The game that really worries me now, after the first month of the season, that worried me a little bit before, but even more now, is the Maryland. That true freshman quarterback looks legit. And so after Michigan State, we got to go on the road there. So if there's one that has me worried to fall to 9-3, it might be that Maryland game.
I had 9-3, and let's see. I'm trying to think of my two losses would it be here.
Yeah, I don't quite
Prob-
remember. Maybe I can't remember if you had them losing to Michigan. I think you did. I
I
think
think I
Michigan.
did. So
I think
Michigan,
Michigan, USC, maybe in Penn
yeah,
State.
Michigan, USC, and Penn State. So that would be assuming that they win the majority of their games here, which might be tough. But I'm still sticking with 9-3. I'm still sticking with 9-3, and I think they could do it. I think they could do it.
I mean, 9-3 with a win over Iowa. I mean, who could complain about that?
Oh, plenty of
There would be
plenty of
some
Nebraska
people.
fans. Yeah,
I mean, we'll still complain. Sure, I'll probably still complain some, depending on how they lose the games to Penn State and USC. But they would be. But I mean, if you're 9-3, I mean, I feel like you'd be close to being ranked. I feel like they would probably be in like the ReliaQuest Bowl. One of the either the ReliaQuest Bowl or the Citrus Bowl. One of those. I wouldn't say second tier bowl games, but one of the better ones on New Year's Day.
yeah.
So I think that would be a step forward.
Not New York in December. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think we're doing that. So, but yeah, you look at, I think the key stretch is going to be that Minnesota Maryland
yep.
kind of back to back. If they can win, that'll be a real sign of progress. Winning this game against Michigan would have been a sign of progress, but if they can win those two road games, that will be a sign that this team's ready to contend in the Big Ten. And then USC comes up after that. So really, if they're going to have to put a little winning streak together, but if they can do it, I think they're right where they need to be. And then if you beat USC, beat Michigan State, win these other games, then frankly, it's just about beating UCLA on the road and beating Iowa at home. So I still think they got a shot at 10 wins. I mean, it might be. I'll probably say that I'll see them going 9-3 at this point, but I don't think 10-2 is out of the question.
I don't either, and I don't think 9-3 is too bad either. So, No, I can definitely see them doing it, and maybe one of those wins will be an upset to Penn State and a loss to Minnesota. Who knows? I mean, we don't know, but
Wouldn't that be something though? Wouldn't that be
yeah,
something if that was
that would
Matt Rule's defining moment at Nebraska comes in Happy Valley? I
yeah.
mean, why not? Why wouldn't that happen? Like that seems like just the total college football thing. You know what I mean? Like that's yeah, maybe
Then James
that will
Franklin gets
happen.
fired and Matt Rhule leaves for Penn State. We start all over again. No,
God,
no, 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 no.
yeah, they'll be all the Penn State people. Oh man, maybe we should hire that Matt Rule. But then,
No,
he's already gotten. If you beat Penn State, then like I think we could say Nebraska's back. So after you get Nebraska back, I don't see Matt Rule leaving for Penn State. I just
no.
I know it would be tempting. It would be very tempting, and I wouldn't blame him if
No, I
like
wouldn't either.
that's probably the one job I wouldn't be that mad if he left for because it's like, dude, that's where he went to school. That's his alma mater. I'd be a little butthurt about it, but I would still be happy for him.
Coaching Penn State also comes with a lot of prestige. You coach at
Yeah,
Penn State, you're like the real deal. You
yeah.
know?
And he is more of that East Coast guy, but he's become a Nebraska guy though. So I don't know. He's ingrained him. That's the thing, like with Trey Taylor too. Like he's ingrained himself so much with the fans, and Matt Rule has too. Like I really don't think he wants to leave. I think Matt Rule, like I believe him when he says he wants to be here for like the next
Yeah.
10, 12 years. So shout out for that information on the Matt Rule podcast.
Yeah, no, and I like the podcast. I've been listening, and I like it. I really do like it. I think it's cool. Good way for the fans to learn more about their coach and stuff like that. And I like how he's embraced the university and embraced the other athletes too. I know he does his videos with guests sometimes, which are kind of cool, the walk around videos. And
Mm-hmm.
I really do credit him for being more open on social media because Scott Frost was never like that. We were lucky if we got anything out of a press conference, and so it's kind of cool to see that aspect of it for sure.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who it would have been. It would have been fun if he could have beat Michigan and brought Dave Portnoy back
Yeah.
on, but
You
Dave probably
think
wouldn't go back
Portnoy would have
on
gone
though.
back on? Probably, man.
Probably not.
Absolutely.
Maybe I don't
Right?
know, man. Maybe to complain about Sharon Moore or
He loves
because
to
he
hear
was
himself talk. I mean,
he
that's what
does
the New England guys do. So, I mean,
he does
yeah. So that would have been
he
fun.
it would have been funny. And so anyways, all right, you guys, well, hey, we're going to, even though there's not a game this weekend, we're still going to do our Saturday morning chat. So we'll talk about Nebraska or some Big Ten football or whatever else is on your mind. So if you want to hang out Saturday morning before college game day, big noon kickoff, coming out with the Husker Big Red crew. So on that note, thanks again for watching. If you haven't already, please do us the huge favor of hitting the subscribe button. Let us know what you think about your record predictions for the 2025 season. And as always, go Big Red.
Go Big Red.